Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the fourth episode of No Wrong Answers. Today I have with me Ram. So, Ram, why don't you start us off by introducing yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Ram. I'm a recent RISD architecture grad from the Bay Area. Yeah, just trying to figure it out. Eddie and I met in school, so we've been in the same class for 4 years now. Yeah.
So, Ram, glad to have you. Why don't you walk us through your childhood and how you've got here, basically?
Yeah. I grew up in the Bay Area,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I guess I could just talk about things I liked growing up.
Yeah.
I, I was really into dinosaurs
Yeah.
and paleontology,
Uh-huh.
and that was a big thing. And I was really into trains,
Uh-huh.
and I think those are kind of my two interests.
Uh-huh.
Like I was really into the way that manifested is like history, and also problem solving and
Mm.
like a very weird sort of engineering. Like I used to do a lot of robotics competitions
Yeah.
growing up.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the extracurricular things I was doing. I also used to play piano at one point in
Ooh.
time. Yes, I played for 11 years. My family is really into music. So like those are the three through lines that I think go throughout like my entire childhood, is that I was interested in paleontology, and then it was history of ancient civilizations, and I think that kind of broke into architecture for me.
Oh, I see, I see.
Um, and then otherwise, my other interests were like engineering and Lego robotics
Uh-huh.
and those sorts of Lego as well as a hobby. And
Yeah.
then out of school, I was playing basketball and I
Uh-huh.
was playing piano. Then all of that kind of led to RISD, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah, I think in terms of my family, the big thing we share is music and also storytelling.
Mm.
Because I lived away from my family, because most of them are in
Uh-huh.
India, that was like a way to connect with my parents. And
Mm-hmm.
then also it's a big thing when I go back. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, those are just some things about me before I got to RISD, and then RISD was just like architecture. Yeah.
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 So then what's a memory that you really cherish from your childhood?
Mm, I have to think about this.
Mm.
The first memory that is coming, it's like a place that I used to go with my
Mm.
parents, which we still go to now when we visit, like at least once.
Mm.
It's called Ghirardelli.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you probably
Gerda.
know the chocolate
The chocolate?
company.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but they have like either an old factory or like their original location in San Francisco on the water,
Oh.
which is really nice. But we used to go there, like sometimes we'd be in SF,
Mm-hmm.
and then towards the end of the night before we went back, my dad would be like, "Yeah, let's go get ice cream."
Mm-hmm.
And so we have both gone by ourselves and taken either family or friends to this place to share
Mm-hmm.
that with them.
Mm.
And one, it's like a very beautiful location, but then it would always be the last thing we did before we left the city. So it's
Right.
like you'd have like a nice ice cream, it would be
Mm-hmm.
cold outside, and then like my dad would drive or my mom would drive us, and then we go back along the Bay Bridge down to Treasure Island,
Mm.
to the other end of where we were living
Mm-hmm.
at in the
Mm-hmm.
Bay.
Mm-hmm.
But that specific like recurring thing of like going to Ghirardelli and getting like a hot fudge sundae,
Mm.
then having that with family friends, and then
Right.
going home is like a very specific Bay Area memory that I
That
have.
sounds that
Yeah.
sounds very beautiful,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you sort of build, that sort of becomes like a thing that you share with your family and
Yeah.
your family friends.
Yeah.
And so now that we've graduated
Yeah.
from school, from RISD,
Yeah.
I want to ask you what your next steps are.
Yeah. I think there's like a few things I'm doing right now while I'm trying to figure it out in upstate New York,
Mm-hmm.
which is really exciting. But I think like, yeah, I'm still very lost about where I will end up. I want to be in New York City. I'm a big fan. So I think that's where the next step is. But I don't even know if it would be that I'm like working in New York City. It's just that I want to be around there and learn more about the place. I think like my thesis in a weird way sets up
Yeah.
like the opportunity for like a lifelong project to just collect stories
Yeah.
about New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that is my ideal next step, is like finding a way to be independent and live in New York with like my friends and Radhika, and then also like um, find a way to be involved and around the city. Yeah, I think it's just also a very fun time to be in New York right now with the Knicks in the
Yeah.
finals
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Mamdani as the mayor.
Oh yeah.
It's like very unique time in New York's history.
I guess it's like
Yeah.
historic for
Yeah,
New York.
yeah, definitely.
As designers, I
Yeah.
guess we have to talk a little bit about architecture.
Yeah.
Then what's your lifelong like question that you think you're gonna, wrestle with for like throughout your entire career? Because for mine,
Yeah.
well, with my thesis being about the embodied experience and religion as a tool to create those embodied experiences, I think I'm gonna wrestle with finding ways of creating those embodied experiences that I think is important for us to experience space.
Yeah.
So what is that for you?
Yeah, I think I would take from my thesis, and it would be about I don't know if I got to explaining it in my thesis, but there was this essay that I wrote to help me think, and it was essentially trying to tell a condensed version of New York's history.
Yeah.
But from like the geological, like there was like an intense volcanic period, and then there were multiple glacial periods which carved through volcanic rock and then redistributed sediment. But like there's all of this history, then there's stewardship by the Lenape people, and of course there's an active Lenape community there in New York right now, and settlement, and like so there's all of these stories, and I think my like the lifelong question would be like how to tell the story of New York.
Oh, wow.
But like a very long story, and the only way it will always be an incomplete story.
Yeah.
It's not like a totalizing version, but that the only way for that project to make sense is through continued collecting of stories.
Right.
And that would be like what I want to do in New
Yeah,
York, is
yeah,
like the
yeah.
beginning of answering that question is just like being in the city, visiting places, hearing from people, like going to stores, going to, different restaurants or different parks, and like just situating myself in the city so that my project can be also informed by lived experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I think hearing these things is one of the most exciting things about thesis year. So
Yeah.
like what people plan to do for the rest of their careers.
Yeah.
And I think switching gears a little bit, I want to ask you if you've had a struggle or challenge that you faced recent or in the past. Doesn't matter.
Struggle or challenge? Yeah, I think this year, at the beginning of this year, my girlfriend moved to another city. She moved to New York, but it's pretty close. But it was also hard to think about like, I think how important, because it was thesis year,
Yeah.
and like this whatever, maybe the only opportunity you get to do thesis, but also like prioritizing like what my priorities are, and so it was hard because I've always been very hard on myself about academics and like doing well
Mm-hmm.
in this institution, especially because like my family has committed so much, I've committed so much, so
Yeah.
it feels important to see it through in the end. But through visiting her in New York and like getting out of Providence or even spending time with friends, like we spent
Mm-hmm.
time like
Mm-hmm.
um, with my roommate, like it was just very easy. It became much easier because yeah, it was something that I thought would initially just would um, potentially make it very hard, but it was
Mm-hmm.
actually through the visiting and spending time with other people that it became much easier.
Oh.
um, because I think like when you're in RISD or you're like in these institutions, there is like this idea that you have to be at your desk in
Mm-hmm.
studio. There's like a certain amount of hours you need to commit, but
Yeah.
it's also so important to um, like get out of your own head and like go do things with people who are important to you, because
Mm-hmm.
honestly those connections are probably um, incredibly fulfilling, and they will
Mm-hmm.
show up in your work in
Yeah.
that like you're operating from a good place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that the struggle was like figuring out logistics of like going to New York, coming back, juggling all the classes,
Mm.
juggling thesis, but that in the end it was kind of a very rewarding experience
Mm.
because um, it forced me out of spiraling into the project
Right.
endlessly,
Mm.
you know. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's a piece of advice that everyone can hold on to.
Yeah.
Then I guess, well, do you have a, I don't know, like a motto or like a belief that you try to live by, if you would
Mm.
like to share?
Mm. Yes. Let me think about it for a second. I think yes, there is something that I learned in college from working in groups,
Mm.
and especially in like non-school, non-class assignment, like club stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I was in positions where I would be in charge of people,
Mm-hmm.
and school is a weird place, and clubs especially,
Oh,
because
yeah.
like there's no authority really that you can hold over someone, because everyone is kind of on the same playing field.
Yeah, yeah.
I think this is something I've talked about with my other friends. Um, but just that in that situation where you don't have authority but you need something to get done and you think it's the most important thing,
Mm.
maybe it isn't. And that as you lead, it's important to be aware that you have absolutely no idea what's going on in
Yep.
other people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And just because they're not telling you doesn't mean that there isn't something important going on, and that as someone who's leading, you kind of have to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that people might not um, do what you say at the time that you say.
Right.
And I think more than even like a club or leadership thing, like being with your friends, it's hard to know what everyone is going through,
Yeah, yeah.
but that giving people the benefit of the doubt more often than not is usually like um, it's a very it makes sense to me.
Mm.
That so I think yeah, giving people the benefit of the doubt in like a club setting
Uh-huh.
or like a
But
setting
not,
where you're
but
working.
not
Yeah.
just in, yeah, not
Yeah.
just clubs, but
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah. I think
Oh.
that's something that I learned from college that I'm going to continue, I think, to practice, like in case I work at a studio or I decide to like do my
Start
own
your own
project.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's actually very like considerate. Um then but I think a little bit for you, is there a piece of advice that you would give to yourself?
Mm.
Either, let's say it could be you're entering RISD, or I don't know, you're still in mid school, like
Mm.
still in middle school, just like doing your engineering projects.
Yeah.
What would it be?
I think my advice for any version of myself,
Uh-huh.
if my future version was telling me, is probably take it easy.
Oh.
Like, I think that there's always this anxiety I've had about like what the next thing is, or like
Mm-hmm.
even like figuring out logistics, or like that knowing certain things are in place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because in my mind, once that thing is set, like for me, like finishing thesis was a huge
Oh yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, once I finish thesis, I'll be fine. But obviously, there are other things you begin
Mm-hmm.
to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
And every version of me is worried about
Mm-hmm.
different things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if I had an opportunity to speak with my younger self, whether it was like the, like, me before grad school or me after grad school speaking to me now,
Mm-hmm.
or like me talking to my middle school self,
Mm-hmm.
I would still say, just take it a bit easier and that everything's
So
gonna be okay.
even to your future self,
Yeah,
you say
like,
it.
or that even if my future self was talking to me right now,
Now,
they would probably say like,
oh,
it's gonna be okay. Like
oh,
you don't need to. But of course, the now, like maybe the future version of me would be like, yeah, you don't have to worry about all this like
mm-hmm.
job stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
then that future me would be worried about, maybe I'm working on some big
Yeah,
project,
yeah, yeah.
sea level rise in New York,
Deadlines.
something. Then I would be worried about that. But
Yeah.
then the future me would be like, don't worry about that.
Mm,
You
mm.
know, I think, yeah.
Publishing dates.
Maybe.
Draft deadlines.
Maybe. Yeah.
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 Okay. Wow. Thank you. I think, uh, I think everyone who watches this
Yeah.
can definitely take something for themselves, and I'm glad to have you on, like, have you come over and share some wisdom with me and
Yeah.
us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It was
Yeah.
very fun.
Great pleasure.
Thank you.